Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for staying tuned while we went to Be Right Back.
Did you put us on a break?
Yeah, I did. It was a very soft break. It was short. It was short. It was
And
just
now a
enough
word
to
from our
maybe
sponsor. We
take
haven't
half a
done a
breath.
word from our sponsor in a long time.
Ryan! Oh, yay. Welcome back to another.
Uh,
Okay. um,
you guys are awesome.
that's great.
Okay, so late. I guess to answer your question, is it okay to lock yourself away when you're in kind of a strange mood? Um, I would say no. I mean, sometimes we need some alone time. I've been there before, you know. I mean, I've been in the situation where um I, you know, I just need to get away from people and sit by myself for a little while. A lot of times after a long work day, I need to decompress a little bit, but it's what amazingly enough, a lot of times after a crazy long work day, I have taekwondo. So then I get to go beat up on, bags, punching bags and stuff like that, which is fun. So then it gets some aggression out after a stressful day. But
Hmm.
if you're in a weird mood, then maybe it's good to not be around people for a little bit. If you're just shutting down when you're around people and just not talking, sometimes people can be a little bit put off by that. I've been in that situation before where other it's funny. My mother-in-law is very intuitive, and so she'll just be like, "Oh, Joe, you're quiet today." And I'll be like, "Really?" I don't know. She's like, "Is something going on?" And I'm like, "Not really. I'm just, kind of tired. Maybe I need more coffee. Maybe I just don't have much to say right now, you know." So, which I know seems weird. I've always got lots to say. Um,
My mom used to ask me that all the time, too. And I'm like, why? Is there something? What, do I look funny or something? And she's like, no. Like, you're just not, you're just kind of sitting there. I'm like, Mom, I always just sit here. Like,
so, I mean, if you want to, Master Lay, if you want to expand a little bit on your statement there, that would be cool. If you're talking about, locking yourself away, like physically away from people, or or if you're just shutting down while still around people, you know, I've described a little bit of both of those. But you know, but I do see you say, okay, so you usually do a lot of stupid things when you're in the company of someone close when you're upset. Um, yeah. Now, if you do things that hurt the people closest to you when you're upset, that's actually kind of normal. Unfortunate as that is, um, I've dealt with that with my wife before. It's very interesting, but because we're close to each other, we tend to be ourselves around each other and just kind of let it all hang out. And when one of us is upset, the other person kind of gets the full on force of it. And interestingly enough, one time she said to me, because I told her, I said, man, there are a lot of times you just like let loose and it's very hurtful. And she looked at me and she said, well, it's because you're my rock. Because I know I can be that way around you. And I think that's because she trusts that I'm not going to not like her anymore because of it.
hmm.
Does that make sense? So like because I have a strong enough love for her that I'm not going anywhere. She can, you know, say things, just be herself, let loose and do something that might be hurtful. and she knows that she trusts that that's not going to make me, you know, hurt her back or leave or not love her anymore, if that makes sense. So a lot of times, you know, when we are hurting, we tend to hurt the people closest to us more than other people.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen that in our children's behavior, which is it's fun to watch because, you know, when we're all at home, they, you know, that's the peak of their misbehaving. You know, that's when they'll, you know, they'll fight a lot more. But when we're in public, they're like some of the most well-behaved kids ever.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so I was talking to my wife about that one time. I'm like, you know, well, hey, it could be worse. It could be flipped around. They could be really, really well behaved at home, but then in public they could be absolute maniacs. And that, you know, that would be 10 times more difficult, you know, because then you're trying to contain something in public, you know. But so, okay, Lay says, I usually lock myself away physically and mentally from people because I'm just afraid of bursting at them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. And you know what? Honestly, I don't think that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to retreat once in a while. It's not a bad thing to, you know, get away, cool off, and come back after you've sorted some things out in your head. You know, that's not a bad thing at all. And hopefully, you know, you have ways to cope with that. There are a lot of different ways that you can cope with your thoughts. A couple of books to help with that. One that really helped me is called The Magic of Thinking Big. Really helped me understand how to control my thoughts. So sometimes when you get off into a mood somewhere, you know, it's hard to do that, but you can smooth that out by learning to train your brain to think a certain way. So Magic of Thinking Big, Psycho-Cybernetics, you know, books like this that teach you about the workings of your brain can help when you're in a mode like that. You can retreat, and then the smoothing out of that mode can come a lot faster when you understand how to tweak your brain, I guess, in that way. Not chemically, but just, you know, just through different thought processes and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that might be about the best I can do right now. So Ryan, what do you got on this topic?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on the same page with you. For me, a lot of times, retreating retreating into your room or into a quiet space, or just kind of locking yourself up, both physically and emotionally, can be a very healthy thing. You know, if you're doing it because your intention is to make sure that you don't hurt people or something like that, you know, I think obviously you're doing it for a reason that you find is valuable, and you're trying to retain value in your relationships and so on, and not hinder them. And so, I mean, that's a good thing. You know, your thoughts, your intentions are good, but obviously, that's not always the best route in every, you know, scenario. So of course, it's good to be able to it's good to be able to figure out how to handle yourself when you're actually up in the situation where bad things happen, right? Or when you start feeling like you're going to be a jerk or something like that, or your emotions are going to get the best of you. I think one thing that I learned to do was, you know, control my emotions. And I did that by asking myself a lot of questions, you know, especially in the moment. When I feel upset, whenever I notice myself feeling upset, I ask myself, like, as soon as I feel myself being upset, my first go-to response to being upset is, hold on, do you like this feeling? And then the answer is, of course, no. And then I say to myself, well, what can I do to adjust my attitude? Or do I have to continue this feeling? Or can I change it? Can I act differently than this feeling is compelling me to act? And always those questions have an answer, which is yes, I can change. I can change what I do. I don't have to do bad things. Our compulsion is to do those things, and that we mess up. We mess up a lot. Even when that is your automatic response, sometimes your subconscious habits get the best of you. And that's life. But the more you experience this, the more you experience confronting it, your emotions and your desires, the more you experience confronting your desires to do something bad and choosing to do something good instead, or at least different. The more you do that, the better you get at that being your immediate response. I'll tell you, if I did not grow up in the environment I did, learning how to kind of brush off bullies and whatever they say, kind of just learn how to sit there and smile. If I didn't go through that experience, I wouldn't be, good at dealing with people when they get mad at me, right? Because I would have had no experience in it. I worked in a field where people would just randomly get mad at me. Joe works in that field now. Being an inspector, there are many times where you just have to sit there and smile. And the person's in your face being upset at you, even though you did nothing wrong. But they're not necessarily mad at us. They're mad at the companies that employ us, ultimately. And they know that. But anyways, it's through experiences and practice that I learned to get better. So while, of course, it is very good to retract into yourself and reflect and to stop yourself from doing something bad, those are both really, really, really good things that you're doing. So it's not a bad thing to go off and be alone. Those are good things. It's a really good thing. But at some point, you also have to face the challenges that are facing you. Because if you always run away, or if you never go out into the world because you're scared, you'll never overcome the obstacles you're afraid of. If you always run away and hide, you'll never be able to accomplish what it is standing in front of you that will move you forward and make it so that you no longer have to hide. And so I would say it's as important as to reflect and have alone time and to make sure you don't do the wrong things. It's also equally important to sometimes get out there and mess things up, and try your hand at overcoming whatever walls are being set up in front of you. A lot of times that you're setting up for yourself, not on purpose, but just because you have your own habits, you have your own experiences so far in life, and they've brought you to where you are now, and now you've got the next wall to overcome, and you can go further. And you're completely capable of doing that. But yeah, you get it. Yeah, you just have to face even the smallest bit of challenge, and you can control yourself. Just remember to ask yourself, whenever you're whenever you're experiencing a feeling you don't like, that doesn't mean that's who you are. That's an experience. You're feeling it, and that's your subconscious mind reacting to it. But your subconscious is just a record of habits, and you can overwrite those. You can slowly guide that. You've got your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind can't really control too much. They form habits, but after repetition, your subconscious mind takes on those habits or ways of reacting to scenarios or desires to do certain impulses. But with your conscious mind, you can take a step back and say, hold on, I'm experiencing something I don't like. What am I going to do? Rather than, just that one thought that gives you 1 second to think can change everything. That's why we love chatting on the internet. because you know how it is. When you chat on the internet, you can start typing something and you're like, no, that probably isn't the best thing to say right now. Let me backspace and then type something else, right? We do that, and it's so awesome to be able to do that. But we can do that in real life too. And I think that a lot of us kind of forget that. But in real life, we have time, and sometimes something will happen, but that doesn't mean we have to respond immediately. We can take a second. Someone might ask us a question and it sets us off, and we'll be like, hold on, like, let me gather myself. Let me figure myself out. A lot of times, we experience this, especially when someone confronts our beliefs or ideas that we formed about something. Like, someone says something that contradicts us, or like, hey, I believe this is true. And then someone is like, yeah, you're wrong. And then we're like, whoa, hold on. No, you're wrong because blah, 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 blah. And I've got all of these facts to back me up. And it's like, actually, you don't have to respond right away. Even if it's an argument or even if it's a discussion, whatever it is, you don't have to respond right away. You can take a second and say, hold on, let me think about this. Because that's actually more respectful. If you're in a debate with somebody, it's more respectful to say, hold on, actually, that's a good question. Let me think about that. And then if you don't have a good answer right away, you can say, give me a moment, I'll come back to it. And it's the same thing with emotions. When an emotion hits you, you can say, hold on, let me take a second to figure out how I want to react to that. Because that'll start steering you in the right direction. But yeah, like, you got this. Honestly, this is something I feel like a lot of us have gone through. And a lot of us are experiencing even now. Even now there are times when I'm in situations where I'm like, yeah, nah, I'd rather just get away. I'd just walk away or be alone right now. And sometimes that can be good. Sometimes that can be bad, depending on what the situation is. Sometimes I just need to confront whatever the issue is. But it's something we all battle. It's something we all have dealt with. So you're not alone in this. And I'm glad that you're trying to do it for the right reasons. Yeah, just I hope to encourage you to try to get yourself out there, and it's okay to make a mistake. Your friends, your real friends, are the friends that are looking out for the best for you. They're gonna be there even if you make a few mistakes, and then say sorry later. If they're your friends now and you've already been a jerk to them sometimes because you gotten angry or whatever, then you have a little bit more room to make a few mistakes. If they're good friends, they are forgiving, and I think that's something that you're being put in an environment where it's the best environment to grow. A lot of times you look at relationships, and the strongest relationships are the ones that are love relationships, romantic relationships, and those are often the people that we offend the most. They're the people we show the worst sides of the worst sides of us to. We get angry, and then we do something stupid, and we're like, and we're doing that in front of the people we love the most. But that's the best place to do it, because not that it's ever okay to do that, but at the end of the day, they're still rooting for you to be the best person you can be, and that they're eventually going to be able to forgive you. And so that is a good place to be for messing up and getting better and growing stronger. And that's what we're here to do, right? For each other. So yeah.
Yeah, we do hurt the people closest to us. If I had $1 for every time I punched Ryan, I'd have $0.
No, you might have. I have a feeling you might have gone like that.
I
maybe.
I might have got you on the shoulder or something once or twice. But yeah, that's so true. That's so true, Master Lay. And again, I really appreciate you asking about this, because it's a big deal. And as Ryan was talking, it reminded me of some of the things I was going through. You were talking about that you were seeing where Ryan was heading, and that you try to face even the smallest bit of controlling yourself in those scenarios instead of hiding. That's a big deal, and you won't be good at it right at the beginning. It's something that's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
take time and practice to get good at. It's like, I'm working through a shoulder injury right now, and it's basically overuse in one direction, and some muscles have been neglected in the back of my shoulder, the rotator cuff muscles. And so right now, in order to fix it, there's all these little tiny, very seemingly really small exercises to do certain ways. And it's long process, of just doing these simple, tiny little exercises. And it takes a long time to build those muscles. They're not very big, but that's what's making the impact. And so it's kind of going to be similar to your situation, where you're dealing with something that might seem kind of minor, just a little bit of self-control in these areas, just a little bit here and there. But as you have those small victories, you're going to be able to build off of them. I remember a guy saying, if you're having trouble hitting a big goal, then hit a small goal. Hit a small goal in order to gain a little bit of confidence that you can hit a bigger goal.
Momentum.
It might not even be related. It might be totally different. But if you can do something and have a small victory, then you can build yourself up to those bigger ones, and it's just one after the other after the other. But if you can set yourself up to get into a winning habit, that's a really big deal. Boxing coaches do that with their fighters all the time. They'll schedule different fights for their boxers, and they will pit them against a person who they know they can beat. So that way they know they can win, and it'll build their confidence for the next one. And then that's how they strategically get to the point where then they're in the bigger rings with the bigger name fighters for bigger titles. But it's the same type of thing with what you're dealing with here. If you can have some small victories in some small areas, maybe just, stay in your room for less time, and come out sooner, that could be a victory for you, or something that you do in there. Just change a little bit of what you do. Say, next time, I'm not going to do this one part of that. And when you achieve that, celebrate, because that's a win.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can move on to the next step, and then from there you start to get this habit of having wins, and before you know it, you're biting off a lot bigger chunks than you thought you could. And you look back and you're like, wow, I made it here already. It didn't seem like that big a deal.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, because it was a little step at a time.
You just made me think of something that's not necessarily related, but we talked about it a couple times before in past topics, and that is the concept of fasting. And you just said celebrate your victory, and I'll tell you what, your ability to celebrate is a lot stronger when you have fasted. When you specifically take things that you are adjusting in your life or taking away, even if they're good things, you're taking away something to gain self-control. That's the object of fasting. And it can be anything. It can be food. It can be oxygen. No. It could be not turning the lights on. It could be fasting from your computer or different forms of entertainment. It can be fasting even from writing, as weird as that is. Like, there are many different things you can fast on, even from fasting from speech. You can say, I'm just not going to talk to anybody today, or for the week, whatever. But having that, those are little tiny things that, like Joe was just talking about, little goals you can set up and then accomplish. And all of those things create self-control because you're forcing yourself to do something you don't normally do. You're controlling yourself. But then at the end of the fast, you can celebrate by doing those things which you've withheld yourself from. And it feels more joyful. It feels like it's more meaningful when you celebrate. So I just wanted to add that in there as a little bonus blurb.
Mm-hmm.
That, self-control a lot of times comes through controlling yourself in little things first, and then ramping up to the bigger things. But ultimately through practice and habit that you create,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. So thank you, Master Leif, for posting and allowing us to discuss that. That was a big deal.
Yeah. So Princess has very kindly posted the Don't Worry Wednesday questions, which is awesome.
She had where in the Discord?
And it's under DWW questions on your side.
Whoa!
On your left
let
side.
me open that up. Man, oh man.
And I'm wondering, Jono Taylor.
Oh, Discord is summoning unnecessarily dramatic encounters.
Great. Well, that's fine. I've got some.
What it's doing.
She said there's one here from Jono, but I'm assuming that one is from a different session, perhaps. Because I do not see Jono here today. But we got the one from Lay. She did write down Breeze before Bree deleted hers. However, Bree deleted hers, and I do not want to do Breeze if Bree is not comfortable with us doing hers. So I will refrain from reading that one unless she says otherwise. And then next we've got Chris. By the way, guys in chat, I love you guys. You guys are awesome. And Taylor, if you got something on your mind, don't be afraid to let it out here, because we are never, me and Joe are never ever going to be looking down on you or look at you and be like, oh, for shame. Like, don't worry about it. Like, we all go through stuff. We all do stupid stuff. We all have bad addictions. We all have things that we just wish weren't true about ourselves, but we can improve and work on. So, we're here to be a support that, we can talk about those things. If you want to, I'm not going to force you to. I'm not trying to call you out so that you're forced into a situation where you're like, okay, I have to say it now. Don't. If you don't want to, you don't have to. I'm just saying, Haley, I see kind of a little bit what's going on in chat. I just want to let you know, like, hey, we're here for you. Okay. So don't ever be too afraid to approach us. Even if you want to approach us in a private message, that's totally fine too. Oh my gosh, Bree is throwing knives. Everybody, be careful. Don't mess with Ryan, her baby boy. She's got 3 knives. So.
That's great.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I forget
just
who it was.
One more reason why we love Bree.
Yeah. we love you. She's got knives, so you better. No.
She's so protective. See, that's the thing. She loves you so much, she would defend you with knives, Ryan.
That's better than a shield. Someone said earlier. Who was it? I want to credit the right person.
I played the bongos.
Anyway, someone said that you get money for punching me. That's basically what you said. If you had $1 for every time you punched me, so it's like that just makes you a bully. Like, give me your money, punch.
There's a word. There's if. The word if is very important. Right. It's like the word or. Very instrumental.
Yeah, like 8 or 8:30, which you can't have 8 if 8:30 is already passed, so the or doesn't work. This is a discussion from earlier this morning. Anyways, I had woken up and I'm like, okay, so it's 2. All right. That means we're having Don't Worry Wednesday in a couple hours. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Yeah. Okay. And so, and then around 8 at like 7 or something, or maybe it was 8, I'm like, so when are we doing it? Like 8:30? And then Joe says 8 or 8:30. And I'm like, okay, well. And we start a conversation, and apparently he's trying to leave for work. I'm thinking it's like PM.
Mind you, this was at 10 after 8 in the morning.
In the morning, not at night.
I get a text from Ryan. Hey, are we doing Don't Worry Wednesday today, or Don't Freak Out Friday? I'm like, yeah, like between 8 or 8:30 tonight.
Like 20 minutes.
And I'm like, it's like, oh yeah, 20 minutes around. I'm like, wait a minute, no, like, no, hold on. Like I was working on, producing another show, and
yeah,
like,
yeah.
And then I was
I want you to do multiple things at once.
And I'm like, no, we can't do it now. They're like, well, and I said between 8 or 8:30. And he's like, well, it can't be 8 because 8's already passed. It's already like 10 after.
Which is true. Which is true.
It was true. So I just stopped responding.
Yeah, and then Jesse started responding. And then Jesse responds with something completely different. And he says, Kappa. He said Orion, so he gets to choose. I'm like, it's not a choice if 8 is already passed. It's only one thing, even if he says or. And then I figure out, oh wait, it's still the morning right now. Cool, well I got a full day to do stuff then. And then I told Jesse that I loved him.
Yeah, what's funny is, we may think this is funny, but everybody that's listening to us right now, they probably are just like,
yeah, wow, you guys are idiots.
Dumb-ish.
Yeah, they're pretty not smart. I don't know why we listen to these guys.
But thank you for listening to our rant about our earlier escapades.
Yes. I just wanted to show you guys that I make mistakes too.
But was it a mistake, or was it just having a good time?
It was both. It was a mistake, and then I had a good time.
Like, you seriously thought it was 8 o'clock at night?
Yeah, I thought it was 8 o'clock at night, and then I realized it, and then I just had a good time with it.
I was like, wow. Like,
yeah, when I first woke up, I was like, I'm in the basement. There's no light. And then when I went up,
if you were serious about that.
Yeah, I was actually serious at first. Because I literally thought it was 8 at night. And I was like, dang. Like, what happened? Like, I slept for like 24 hours? It's insane. Well, anyways, you got to do Don't Worry Wednesday. Now I woke up at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
We're already late. What do you think?
Thinking it's 2 o'clock in the evening. Apparently, I got enough sleep, though. So, anyhow, that's that. Oh, yes. So, anyways, Chris has a question. He said, I got a question now. It says, to be honest, I hate my school and everyone in it. Something about them just bothers me. I've never been a people person, but my friends always tell me how they think I am among some of the more popular students, which doesn't help in the situation that I'm in. I have very few but close friends that I hang out with, but I can't get my classmates away.
Interesting.
So what are your thoughts?
Quite frankly, I can relate. In high school, I was never much of a people person either. I was very much the same in the way that I had a few very close friends. And we did, we hung out together. We did everything together. Because of different activities, I was around a lot of different people. And so it's really weird. So is your question, Chris, well, I'm trying to figure out what the question is. Is it how to get your classmates to go away?
Is it how to get your classmates to go away, or more so how to um, maybe feel differently about your classmates?
Right, either one could be.
Okay, he says ye to the first one. How to get your classmates
Okay.
to go away.
Okay. So now is it the people who I'm imagining that's the people who aren't your close friends, but they're the ones that your friends say they're the popular people that okay, how to get classmates away. I can tell you a couple of different ways. Um, One way is to just be really mean to people. I wouldn't recommend it. As I said, this weird that's not professional advice. um but in my experience when I was in high school, I had I had a few close friends, and I had gotten a reputation for being a good musician, and that made me popular in some respects with people. They're like, "Oh, you're a good musician. That's pretty awesome." This and that, the other thing, but like the people who were saying that they weren't really my friends. They were just like, "Oh, you're cool because you play music. You're cool because you play the drums well and you play the guitar well and you sing and stuff like that." So these people would kind of be around, but they weren't really my friends, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that time of my life, I was quite a bit of a different person than I am now. I had been embittered to life in a lot of different ways. I had been picked on a lot in middle school and early high school before this my abilities came to light, and people started respecting those abilities. So I had a lot of hatred in my heart for people. And like you, Chris, I had a lot. I had again, I had a few close friends that I trusted, that I was close to, and everybody else I didn't like. And I would pretty much just blow them off. And that's a good way to be alone, I guess. you know, um, I I've since discovered that that's not the right response. Okay, so um, Ryan probably will have some better advice on what to do. In this case, I can tell you what not to do, and it would be that. Um, I understand the feeling of not liking the school and not liking the people there because I was there. I hated being there. I hated everything about it. I hated the fact that I had to go there. I hated, being around the people that were there. And the coolest part of the day was like, it's funny. One of my sons is in first grade, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, what's your favorite part of school?" And he said, "Dismissal," without skipping a beat.
Wow,
And I
nice.
was like,
Like he had thought about it before.
yeah, like he knew exactly. That was his favorite part of the school day was dismissal, like the day, the time you get to leave. And that's how I felt all through high school. So, you know, there are a couple options. One is the way that I did it before, where it was just blow people off, be mean to them, give them dirty looks, say hateful things behind their back, you know, and just push them away. You can actively push people away, and it's effective. However, it's not healthy for you because it puts you in a really bad spot mentally and emotionally. To treat people that way generally comes back on you. I don't know if you believe in something. There's something people call karma. What goes around comes around, stuff like that. You send that type of energy out into the world. That type of energy is what surrounds you. Scripture says those who live by the sword will die by the sword. You know, it's the same with words and how you treat other people. If you treat people poorly, that type of feeling comes back upon you. And so it just, what I found in my situation, acting that way created, it created the environment in my mind and my heart to have a nervous breakdown a year or two later and struggle with severe depression, panic attacks, you know, in and out of therapy in the hospital, you know, stuff like that. I mean, it was nuts for a little while. And, you know, looking back on it, I have nobody to blame but myself and my own mentality, because I had gotten on this downward spiral of bitterness. So, what I would encourage, instead of doing that, because I found that that response led me to a really bad place, I would ask the question, Chris, why do you hate school? And why do you hate the people that are there? You don't have to answer it in the chat. It's not necessarily, you know, I'm not trying to dig through, but I would ask yourself the question, you know, why is it that you hate the school? Why is it that you hate being there? Why is it that you hate the people that are there? And more than likely, you know, if you ask yourself why, it'll lead you to an answer. You answer that question and it leads you to another question. You ask why again. Okay, well, I hate school because I hate this and this and this. Okay, well, why do I hate that and that and that? And then you get an answer to that. And then, well, why is that the case? And you keep asking why until you get to the bottom of it and you can't ask why anymore, you know? And then you have a spot, and I can just about 100% guarantee that there was an experience there that you need to forgive. You got hurt by something. There's something happened somewhere along the line. Some type of circumstance existed that was painful or angering or something that made you angry or hurt or something. You know, I know that was the case for me. I had to go back and figure out, you know, what happened, and I could pinpoint a few experiences that were defining. And when I was able to forgive the people in those experiences and the experiences themselves, just be like, you know what? It happened. I forgive them. That's when true healing started. It took a long time to get to that point. You know, and there was a lot of different stuff I learned along the way before I was able to forgive, about people skills, about attitude, about all these kinds of different stuff. But that was just kind of covering the whole situation. And the real healing began when I took a look at the situations that defined that experience, and I was able to forgive the people involved. And I was able to forgive the experience itself. And through that forgiveness, I was able to begin healing. And then the outlook just changes. From then, you don't have to hate the school. You don't have to hate the people that are there. You don't have to. You realize people are just people. They're messed up. I find that all the time. The other day, I was driving and some dude like blew past me really, really fast and then cut me off just so he could slam on his brakes and turn right in front of me.
Well played.
And I'm like, dude, that was the stupidest thing. And, you know, and for a second I was a little bit, because I was a little tense. You know, I had to slam on my brakes and I had to not crash into the back of him, you know, and I was a little bit upset. And I was like, you know what? He's a person. People do stupid stuff. I do stupid stuff. I've done stupid stuff before. And, you know, so Chris, I can tell you, don't do what I did in high school. Don't give in to hate. don't give in to bitterness. At all costs, don't do that, because it leads to a really, really horrible, painful place where you yourself will be in pain and the people around you will as well. And if you can learn to look back, look through the situation, and find the people you need to forgive. You don't have to forgive them to their face. You don't have to go up to them and say, "Hey, I forgive you for being a big jerk to me and doing this thing." You know, you don't have to say anything to them. But just in your heart, learn to forgive. Try to forgive. Even if you can't yet, go along the path of forgiveness. And from there, you can begin healing, and then you won't have to hate anymore. You won't have to hate the school. You'll still have to go there, and you might not necessarily like it, but it won't be nearly as bad as it is now. And so I'd encourage you to do some digging. Do some digging in your heart and see if there's a spot like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what Ryan's got to say, because he's the guy who had the right example as he went through school.
I don't know. I went through school and I hated everybody also. So I can feel you, at least. I totally understand what you're talking about. And there were many times I just wanted people to go away, because I could sense, like, hey, you're hanging around me and you're about to probably say something really stupid. Like, that's how I thought about people. Like, everybody was stupid. Literally, that's what I said. Everybody's stupid. Like, that guy, he does sports. Obviously, he's stupid. That kid, like, anybody who did sports,
clearly stupid.
Like, I had a friend, I'm not even joking, this is terrible. I had a friend who I learned that they were in a sport. And I learned that they were in a sport, like, after already knowing them for years. And then I finally figured out, like, wait, you're in a sport? And I was like, wow, I didn't realize you were stupid too. Like, I'm not kidding. That was in my head. And I'm like, wow. But then I was like, yeah, but you're not stupid. So that's weird. That's so weird. What are you doing hanging out with stupid people? Like, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, that's where I came from. And I'll tell you, I definitely got out of that, which is good. But there's a real science to what Joe was talking about earlier with karma. When you surround yourself with negative thinking, then you're going to be thinking negative thoughts more often. And so when you treat people, if you treat people mean, and I'm not saying that you ever did. It doesn't sound like you did, but I'm just saying, if you go down that route and you push people away and you hate people, what you'll end up doing is start considering people as having extremely low value. And that will eventually turn on yourself, because you are also people. And if you think everybody else is stupid, eventually that's going to turn around and become either A, I'm the only one smart around here and everyone else is stupid, or B, you realize you're stupid and then you hate yourself. So if you don't respect the value of other people, then what that does is that unfortunately turns around, and that becomes like a mirror, and you start to have no respect for yourself. So that's real life karma. That is you doing something and creating habits for yourself that are either good or bad, depending on whether you've been doing something good or bad. That happens to everybody. And so, yeah, like Joe was basically saying, try to stay away from at least acting terrible to people. And I don't think that you have been. Based on what you said, it sounds like you haven't at all. But you're just in a conundrum right now where you're being surrounded by people that you're not sure are really trustworthy or friendship worthy or whatever. And that's totally understandable. There are shady people out there. There are people you don't want to get involved with. That's so true. And especially when you're in a school environment where it's commonplace to be jerks, to insult people, to think like I was just thinking not too long ago in my statements about just hating everybody, where everybody hates everybody. In that kind of environment, you really don't want to do too much of allowing your brain to be infected by them, you know? So I can totally understand wanting to push those forces away so that you aren't subjugated to that type of thinking or to those environments. So I get it. Absolutely. But I'll tell you, you know, if you put value in the right place, you know, a lot of, okay, so here's something interesting. If you think of humility, if you think of being humble, rather, humble comes from a similar word. If you think of being humble, you know, everybody says, you know, being humble is a virtue, which it is. But humble is not simply the act of putting others before you. A lot of people reduce being humble to that. But that's not necessarily true. We see all the time in cases where people put themselves so low beneath everybody that it becomes self-destructive. And that can't be a virtue. But true humility, true humbleness is when you accurately act out and consider the value of each person. When you acknowledge the value of each person as being equal to yourself and what your value is in the world and what your value is when you discern things like God and paper and pencils and light and all of these things, and you consider their values, and when you put those in their respective places, that's actual humility. That's actually being humble, because then you are upholding yourself and upholding the others around you. You take on a supportive role of lifting up others around you, because that also lifts you up, and that's what we're supposed to do if we really put things in their right place and in their places of value. So anyways, when I was in school, I didn't know any of this, right? I just hated people. But then something happened, and I had gained a lot of friends online, and that felt good to me. It felt good to have friends online. And I was like, but what is up with real life? I don't have all these friends. Now you're in a slightly different situation where there's a lot of people who are flocking around you, and you don't necessarily want them there. So I came from a slightly different place where I didn't have anybody that wanted to really get to know me. But once I started to make an attempt to grow who I was, once I started to say, I'm going to try to be a better person. I'm going to, love your neighbor as yourself. Exactly. That's putting value on other people, which is correct based on your own value, keeping both of those things loved. It doesn't say love your neighbor and not yourself. It says love your neighbor as yourself. Right. And so if you know, I came from this place where I started to experience friendship. I started to experience lots of people liking being around me. I took that into my real life and I said, how come nobody in life wants to be around me? How come in real life I feel like everybody hates me? And once I started focusing on myself to grow as a better person and basing that off of how I treated others, like going up to people and striking up a conversation with people that I thought were my enemies, that I thought hated me, striking up conversations with people that I was afraid of, or just strangers I didn't know, people I assumed were terrible people because they were popular. Oh, there were a lot of people I thought were just terrible people because they were popular. They were in the popular group. They must be just terrible. They must be the absolute worst people in the world. Like, what's wrong with me? That's what I thought, though. You know, and so, but then I started to give them the benefit of the doubt. I started to say, well, hold on, like I could have been the person in their position, because as soon as people started liking me, I realized, wait, then if people like that person and they also like me, because all I'm doing is I'm going up to people and being nice and saying, hey, I like your shirt. It looks very nice, you know, or I like your pants. I've always liked pants. I don't know why. Jeans are awesome. Jeans are really cool with all their weird textures. I just thought that was a thing that was unique. So they stood out to me. I complimented people on their pants, as weird as that is. You know, and I realized that other people thought those pants were cool, and that's why they were wearing them. And I was like, oh, this makes sense. But I realized...
Were they parachute pants, Ryan?
They weren't parachute pants, and I'm sorry. We weren't back in the 80s. I am so sorry. And I was an 80s child. I was born in 89 and didn't really live through the 80s. But, you know, nope, no parachute pants other than the ones I saw on TV. But anyways, once I started to realize that people are more like me than I thought, I started to give them the benefit of the doubt, because otherwise I'd have to assume the same things that I assumed about them and assume them about myself. And that realigned how I thought about people, and that realigned how I treated people. You know, I remember in 6th grade, I had my first encounter with this. First in my 6th grade, I was so picked on and bullied that I came to a point where I was like, I'm just going to be emotionally dead. And then pretend that I'm not the one doing my homework. Pretend that it's just somebody else doing what I'm doing so that I don't have to feel the pains of doing what I'm doing. But that was when I started asking why. I was like, why are these people treating me this way? Why are they acting like this? And because I went into my conscious and started to actually try to reason out, okay, why would they choose to do that? Well, based on this and this, based on that and that, they probably would have done that. Wait a minute. I would have done that. Their reasoning is the same as my reasoning. We're both humans. We're both brain powers that are working with the same set of logic. You know, and I'm like, we're more alike than I thought. And it took till like 10th grade to figure out, oh, I need to treat these people nicely. Like, that changed everything. And so learning that people are more like me than I thought made me realize that I needed to treat them like, I mean, this is stupid because it's the golden rule, but treat them how I wanted to be treated. And that's stupid that's the golden rule, because it's like, oh, that's your nugget of wisdom, huh? Unfortunately, yeah, that's been around for ages, and we don't know how to listen to it, though. You know, we don't know why we're supposed to do that. We're told treat people how you want to be treated, because you don't like the feeling of, you know. But then we're not told why. We don't experience why until we actually experience it through logic, through reason, through going through pain and going out the other side and realizing we hate ourselves and all the self-destruction we've brought on ourselves and all of this. Then we finally get it. We're like, oh, okay. Oh, duh. Psh, that's easy. That makes sense. So I can understand wanting to push certain people away. How do you push those people away that you really don't want to be around because they're bad influence? Because that is out there. How do you push the people away that are a bad influence? Tactfully, just remove yourself. That's the best you can do. And if that doesn't work, then you take a different mindset. And that mindset is, okay, they're bad company. How can I be the good company? And change them. Because then no longer is it a game of figuring out how to get rid of them. It's a game of, how do I change them to be someone I actually want to be around? How do I set an example for them? How do I help them move past this? Because what they're experiencing that makes them bad company, what they're going through isn't good for them. And it's not good for you or anybody they're around, and they feel probably not so good about that. So how can you help them? And then you turn it around and you say, okay, what they just said, how am I going to master that and not let that get into my head? And then you start, like, you put yourself above the situation, not above them, because we're all broken. We've all make mistakes. We all think stupid thoughts. not like you're putting yourself above them, but you're putting yourself above their words. You're putting yourself above the situation that they're trying to create. And you say, okay, how do I overcome these negative things that they're doing and help them to move away from that? How do I guide the conversation to something better? And you say, okay, I leave people alone, but they never leave me alone. Maybe they give me attention because they want my attention. Yes, that's quite possibly the situation. This is where the golden rule doesn't work, right? Yeah, they probably are giving you attention because they want your attention. They see you as someone who, for some reason, is valuable to them, and they hold you high esteem, significant. And I mean, one thing you can do is just embarrass yourself. You get two things out of doing that. Let me tell you, when you force yourself to be embarrassed, when you do things that will embarrass you, you'll do the things that are embarrassing, that, like, you make mistakes on purpose so that other people will see it, or you humiliate yourself on purpose, like going to the bathroom and getting down on your hands and knees and washing the floor, and people go in there and be like, dude, what are you doing?
Like the bathroom at school?
Yeah. I'm not kidding. Like, that's something. There is a person who is a saint who did that, who would go to public bathrooms and wash the floor. If you humiliate yourself on that level, people will either, the people that are worth being around, yeah, right? Oh, wow. Yeah, that takes a lot of guts.
I thought that was something you did, Ryan.
No, that's not something I did. I'm not that amazing. Like, don't get me confused with, like, a saint or something. No, people, if you are willing to go through embarrassing situations, like, I put myself through embarrassing situations on purpose, and a lot of times to the delight and joy of others around me. But when you embarrass yourself, the people who will mock you will no longer want to be around you. People will be like, oh, wow, that guy is weird. And they will stop wanting to be around you, and you'll get rid of the bad ones real quick. But the good ones will stick around. They'll find you amazing and quirky and like, whoa, how do you do that? But then, this is the best part of it. When you force yourself into embarrassing situations or awkward situations on purpose, creating situations that are extremely awkward and just sitting in it and feeling that, or, just doing things that are super embarrassing, purposefully like walking into a pool, pretending you didn't notice the pool was there, or falling headfirst into a snowbank while your enemies, the people you thought were your enemies at least, are watching you, and then you get up and your head is covered in snow and they laugh at you. Doing those things build you up so fast you won't believe. They turn you into a person who is absolutely solid. Those things make you go, okay, I don't take myself so seriously anymore. I'm just a human. Like, it's just like, you don't take yourself seriously anymore, and you know you can deal with anything that comes your way. So I would recommend putting yourself in weird, awkward, purposefully awkward, or embarrassing situations. You will get rid of those people who aren't worth being around real quick. And the people that stay around are going to be the people that you have a lot to, you can learn a lot from. People who are worth being around. But then most of all, you will turn yourself into someone who has incredibly powerful stature and posture and mind and peace. So, yeah, that's a really weird recommendation. I understand, but that's probably one of the strangest but best things I could recommend, is because then you don't take yourself so seriously. Then you're not really worried about who's around you. You're just like, what? It's life. It is what it is. It's whatever, and that's how it is, and that's okay. Like, I can deal with that. I can put up with it. It's not even like something I have to put up with anymore. I'm just, it is what it is, and that's cool too. You know, like you start to create these you start to break down the walls that are in your head, and you start to open up to the idea that, you know, what's going on around you isn't that serious. And you don't have to take yourself so seriously. But good luck with that. It might take a long time before you get to that stage, or you can just jump right in. But
yeah, sometimes it's good to just throw yourself in. I think it was Mother Teresa who said the fastest way to humility is humiliation.
mm-hmm.
And if you can bring that upon yourself in a way like Ryan described, that's, you know, like you're doing it on purpose, you're doing it to get a response, you know, whatever it is, in order to get that awkward feeling, then you're in charge of it.
Right.
Rather than it just happening to you and feeling embarrassed and all this kind of stuff. If you actually mean to do it, there's this little added thing, you know, like you ever hear the people who say, hey, if you're going to mess up, like if you're going to fall down when you're skiing, make it look like you meant to do it. You know,
you know,
if you actually meant to do it, then that adds that puts a little bit of extra weight in your corner. You know what I mean?
Right. When I went face first into the snow, while some of the jokesters, you know, the class clowns were watching, and then I got up. I did it on purpose, so I had a posture about me that was like, that was hilarious. I can't believe I just fell into the snowbank, pretending I didn't do it on purpose, right? But then later, when I actually did it for real, tripped and fell on ice, and, you know, everybody was watching, right? I got up, but I had that sense of control over myself. So I didn't have that sense of like, oh no, how do I react? What do I do? Everyone is looking. It was just like immediately like, ha! I just fell. Oh man, that was actually kind of fun. You know, and that just took away everything. Everything changed. Like, because I put myself through the simulation. But anyways, that's kind of neither here nor there. But yeah, I hope that some of that is helpful to you in your situation. And you know, it's really interesting thing. You know, like we discussed earlier, going through and just hating everybody, hating the school. I can hate I still don't like school. I try not to hate things, but school system, I mean, we all know, even the school knows, even the teachers know, it's broken. It's not as good as it should be. But, you know, and it doesn't teach us a lot of the things that we really need to know for life. You know, living out how to communicate with people, how to interact, how we should, you know, all sorts of different stuff. And so, you know, I'm not a fan of school because of an academic level. I'm also not a fan of school because, you know, I went through it. I've been through all the bullying, and school, for some reason, actually, the way it is designed, promotes that kind of activity. And it continues year after year after year after year after year without stop. You know, very seldomly do you find a class where there aren't jerks, and those jerks aren't also, for some reason, considered the popular kids. You know, just because you probably doesn't mean you're a jerk, though. And in fact, a lot of those people that were jerks, I got to finally try to know on a more personal level and realized, oh, they're not, you know, that's just who they are, and they're not necessarily trying to hurt people. They're just trying to have fun, but they don't understand, and they don't get it yet. And someone has to teach them. And so then you just take pity on them. You feel bad for them. Because we're all human. We're all trying to figure out how to go through life. But anyways, I understand not liking school. I hated school. I still hate school because it makes people do homework, and homework is obviously evil. It is in my eyes. No, it's not evil, but I really don't like homework. Yeah, so, but people are different. There's no value added unto anyone by hating somebody. Value can be added on to you by hating an institution because it can cause you to do something to make the institution better. But hating somebody is different, because hating someone means you want the worst for them. And if you want the worst for someone, that's not adding value unto them or yourself. When you want the worst for somebody, that means you're destroying them. That doesn't build anybody up. That doesn't build any institution up. And that doesn't help them change and grow to fix their problems. That, in fact, usually sets them in their ways even more. You know, how I mean, we can see thousands of examples of that in the media, in the world that we've lived in over the past decade. But I mean, one example is, you know, if you take into consideration the current LGBTQ situation, you have a lot of people fighting each other. And that's because one side doesn't like the other side doesn't like them, and then it causes even more hate to come out, and more issues to arise. And it solves nothing until there's a real connection, a human connection of relationships that say, well, wait, you know, like, hey, let's be more kind toward each other. Let's be more loving. Let's try to help each other through the situations that are going at hand. And then finally you start making bonds with each other and moving through whatever is going on in society. So, yeah, I mean, we can see that in tons of different ways, and it applies down to the lowest levels of just one human to another. But anyways, that's a tangent for another day.
Yeah, Chris, you said something up in the chat somewhere that I do want to address really quick, and that was you said something about, I can't even find it now. I was just there, and then I lost it.
I'm sorry.
But no, that's okay. It's because I navigated away from it, and now I can't find it again. But Chris, you said, you know, they say love your neighbor as yourself, but you've hated yourself for a long time. And I totally know where that feeling comes from. I've been there before too, like the self-hatred, the self-loathing. I think that a lot of us go through that. I think probably, maybe
almost everyone,
if not all of us.
I have a feeling Kyle never went through that. I don't know.
Kyle, your brother Kyle?
Yeah, I have a feeling he never went there. Maybe he did. Maybe for a very short period of time. But
yeah,
maybe I'm wrong. I don't know his internal, but most people have gone through that.
Yeah, the self-hatred, the self-loathing, you know, the you know, I don't like myself, I don't respect myself, that feeling, you know, it's very prevalent in our culture today. You know, a lot of us know you know, that feeling. Ryan has talked about this a lot of times, where he has said, be the best version of yourself. And that's hard when you have a self-loathing or a self-hatred. You think, what's the point of being the best version of myself? And there's a danger there. And it's really more of a focus on self than anything. And if there's one thing, you know, that I hope we can help anyone who comes to this show and watches this show, if there's one thing we can help somebody do, it would be to take your mind off of yourself, even just for a little bit, and focus outward. Focus your thoughts, your intentions, your feelings, focus them out away from yourself. That's one of the greatest things about the BSS community. You guys that are here in the chat, when our website is up and you guys in the forums, you know, you can go to bss.studio and keep checking and see when it comes back up. Well, maybe we'll have a contest to see who's closest. We'll be like, hey, when do you think the server will be back up?
Oh, geez. Yeah, contest for wins.
And whoever gets closest wins a free T-shirt or something. That'd be kind of, now I just said it.
Uh-oh. Wow, darn it.
But if there's one thing that helped me more than anything else, It was the ability to focus away from myself, the ability to take my eyes off myself and be less self-conscious. You know, when you're in school, it's so hard. You're in the same environment all the time and you're wondering, I mean, at least it was for me. I was always, like, here I am. How's it going to be today? How's everybody going to treat me today? How's this whole thing going to go for me today? And it was all about me. And when I learned how to take my eyes off of myself, focus on another person, help them through their problem, because everybody has a problem. And I heard a guy say one time, if we could trade problems with another person and we get their problems, we would want our own problems back. And that's mainly because our own problems are familiar to us. We've dealt with them long enough so we know what they're like. But when you can focus on another person, help them through something, even if it's little, genuinely just help them without thinking of anything in return you're going to get for yourself. Just go and help another person. That, at least for the moment, makes you forget about that self-loathing, makes you forget about the self-hatred. You're not thinking about it, you're thinking about something else. And it gives you a small vacation from that self-hatred. And not only that, but it creates virtue in you. You just did something virtuous. You did something selfless, something for another person. And that virtue reduces the self-hatred because you start to see, oh, wait, maybe I'm not so bad. I just did something good. You can't hate somebody that does something good like that. And, it can move you along the path of building you up in your mind as somebody who is worth liking. Because truth be told, when you're dealing with self-hatred, and I know a lot of us are, I mean, I see some of the things you guys are going through, Haley, Bree, a lot of people, as we go through these things, you have to know, we always forget. We forget this so often, but I gotta tell you that you are valuable simply because you exist. You are infinitely valuable. I haven't said it on the streams in a while, but there is nobody else like you. There's never been anybody like you before. There's never going to be anybody like you again, ever, in the history of the universe, past and future. You are absolutely unique, and you are absolutely valuable. And if I could get those words to sink into your head, so then you might feel a little bit less self-loathing and self-hatred, then I feel like I might have succeeded in a little way. But listen to those words. You are valuable. And when you come from a standpoint of understanding, hey, I am worth something, I can do good, then from there you can start to love others as you love yourself. Like as you said in that quote, love others as you love yourself. Once you start loving yourself, it's a lot easier to love others. And how do you love yourself? Well, first, it's starting to understand that you don't have to do something in order to be loved. You can be loved just because you are. In fact, you are loved just because you exist. And so I wanted to make sure I address that. I can't say it enough, and I'm sure I didn't say it right. I'm sure I could have said it so much better. I'm sure that in a lot of cases, if I would have heard that when I was in a hating state of mind, I would have just blown it off.
I blew a lot
But
of things off like
hopefully,
that.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It- but it's so true. It's so true. And if I could give you the feeling I have in my heart, even though I've never met you in person, I don't know what you look like. I don't know what you sound like. I just see your typing on the screen. I love you.
I
And a
love you.
lot of other people love you too, especially Ryan.
I'll have to say, Chris, you've been here quite a few times. It's been a while since you left and came back a few times, I suppose, with periods of time in between. But pretty much every time you've been on the Don't Worry Wednesday, your input has been very, very great, very awesome. And I would never have suspected that, that you don't particularly like people. um, or at least the people at your school. You seem like a pretty caring and kind and loving individual. So just keep on moving forward. And I'm proud of you, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And incidentally, I think Haley won.
Yeah, because she said that they would happen at a time.
It will be back in a specific second, in a minute, in an hour, in a day, in a week, in a year of our time.
That's right.
Specifically.
Hopefully it is our time. If it's not
Nailed
our
it.
time, then that's pretty bad.
Nailed it.
Yep.
That's a really good guess.
Yeah, it's pretty close, at least. Yeah. Haley gets a shirt for that, huh? She cheated.
I don't know.
She cheated. No.
I don't know. Once the website's back up, then we'll be able to get it off.
Yeah, we'll get to confirm that. Yeah, actually, if the website never
Yeah.
comes back, then yep. No.
February
back.
2nd. If we're reenacting the anniversary. Ha! Yes. Sunnily notes.
Yes. That's
February 2nd
awesome.
next year.
Oh man, let's not wait that long though. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks though. I love that smirk you put at the end.
You know what? You know what though? That's kind of about right, because it was about a year ago now
Mm-hmm.
that everything got deleted. Oh
Yep.
my gosh. This is
That's hilarious.
wow.
Yeah, 'cause it
If
was
we're
down for a couple months.
reenacting last year.
Oh my gosh, let's not. Congratulations on your peach cobbler, Brie. You know what? I'm sure it tastes amazing.
Peach cobbler is fantastic.
Yeah, I know. She said she was making it. I was like, dang, you want some peach cobbler?
It's so good.
It is. Especially when you put it in your mouth. Like, it's good on your hands and stuff, but in your mouth,
Yeah.
it is amazing.
It's really good when you rub it into your hair.
It is. I mean, I've had shampoo in my hair, but peach cobbler, let me tell you, in your mouth is just the best. Best place to put. It's just tasty, So, anyways, do you want to go on to another topic, or I mean, it is quite late, 10:22.
Yeah, it's
How you
getting a
feeling?
little bit towards the end. We have them though now.
Yes.
Thanks to Princess. Oh my gosh, we have the questions stored on the Discord server.
Bree did say that we could do hers. I was told, so which is cool. If you still are up for that, then next time, Bree, we would gladly talk about what's going on. Because I have read it and totally would. I mean, yeah, as always. It's a trial. It's a really rough thing, and I'm really sorry that you are experiencing what you're experiencing. I hope we can help you and be with you at least for it, because a lot of times that's all we can do is be a friend and be there and say, yeah. So,
yeah, and everything I talked about before, Bree, that's for you.
all of it before just what he just said.
Mm-hmm.
Everything he's ever said, even what he said to his mom 70 days ago.
Bree, we love you.
Yeah, we do love you, Bree.
Mm-hmm. And you're amazing.
Thanks for being amazing.
Much more amazing than I.
Yeah,
I've never made peach cobbler before. I don't know how to do it.
I have no
I've
idea how to
eaten
make it.
peach cobbler, and I love it.
I know that you the secret is peaches. You put peaches in the peach cobbler. I know that.
No way.
Yeah.
No
I only know
way.
that by the name alone. Are you quoting me saying yeah? Is that the quote?
A lot of cute stuttering. Yeah.
That's an excellent quote. You know, that's gonna go down in my history. It's gonna be written on my tombstone. It's gonna be like, a lot of cute stuttering. Yeah, Ryan, 2018.
What is this? Excuse you, Joe. You are still a maxoing.
What?
What's a maxoing?
Excuse you, Joe. You are still. Oh, that's still amazing. Amazing.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's the X is like the Chinese zh.
Okay.
You're amazing. Amazing.
Thank you, Akil. You are amazing. And you know, just for
What is
Jack,
peach
since
cobbler?
you're here.
Yeah, this is the one.
Bago.
Yeah, get in the song. Yeah, this is the one you've been waiting for. Yeah, everybody put your hands on the floor and get the butt in the air. And then don't do that dance, cause that is really weird. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, this is the song. Anyways, that's not yet. Yeah. Okay, anyway, sorry, I can't help. Whenever I hear the bongos, it just you know how it goes. What was that? What just happened? I've just blacked out. Are we
Hi.
still live? Anyways,
When is that song being released? That's a great question, Rack. You know,
see ya.
right now.
Bye bye. Deal with it.
I gotta go back on.
Yeah.
You gotta
all
go
right.
back on.
We got more to say. Don't worry.
I know. It's
We're back.
You know, that's how that works. Cause are we back now?
Yeah.
Hey, you guys are amazing.
You guys are amazing. We love you all.
Ryan had a technical difficulty.
In my brain.
I get lots of technical difficulties in my brain.
Yeah, we all do.
Oh, it's fantastic. But I did want to say, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Wednesday, we'll see you again. There's this Discord server. We got some concerns to handle. Bree, we love you. Oh my gosh, look at all those hearts.
Look at it's
Look at
it's
all
beautiful.
those hearts. Sing that song again.
Sing that song again. Guys, you know that song? Yeah. You know this one. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, get you. Oh, stop. Yeah, this is the song. Yeah, you know the one. Yeah, this is the song. Put your hands on the floor, get your butt in the air. You know the one.
Oh my. Oh
Yep.
my.
You guys know that song.
Yeah. That is that. I don't know what that is, but it is that.
You're welcome. My lungs are going to explode. I apologize. Put your hands on the floor, put your butt in the air. You got to make sure you put the accent in the text. Yes. This is the one. I love you guys so much. You guys are the best. And that's how you be weird in public. And make things awkward for yourself. So now that you have an example, go out, Chris, and just be weird and awkward, and embarrass yourself, and then roll with
it's
it.
fun.
It's fun. Yes, I can actually imagine that as a real song. I'm sure that could be a real song, and it would be a hit because it uses the word "but."
And it would be a reggae.
Uh-huh.
The Ragu Festival.
Ragu Festival.
All right.
Cool.
Well, on that note, thank you guys. You're awesome.
Peace.
And we will see you next time.
Yep. Bye-bye. Much love.
Bye, guys.
End.